Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the live. He said it's 8:01. We here, baby. We here. We made it. Where's everybody from tonight? Before we get started, I always like to see where everybody's hailing from. Where's everybody from? What's up, Vesta? How you doing? Iowa's in the house. Atlanta, Georgia. Where's everybody from? Let me see. Type it in. Type it in. What's up, Elisa? Alicia, sorry. Charlotte's in the house. Oklahoma. Charleston, Orlando, Baltimore. Somebody with the crazy mouse over there. What's up, Facebook user? If you're on Facebook, make sure you give StreamYard permission to see who you are, so everything pops up because it just says Facebook user. San Diego's in the house. From Chi-Town, living in Nevada, Atlanta, JJ, Elkhart, Indiana. That's got to be my one and only guy right there. Only one from Elkhart that I know anyways. Memphis, Connecticut, Clarksville, Fresno. That might be Clarksville, Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, Fresno. What's up, Mike Butler? That's what's up, y'all. So obviously I'm going live. I go live once a week. Baltimore's in the house. Baltimore, Boston, Queens, Brooklyn, Oklahoma City. So obviously I go live once a week here with you, live just for you, so we can answer questions. Sunny LA, I know, right? NC's in the house. Arizona, Tennessee. That's what's up, y'all. Appreciate y'all joining me. Every week I do a live where I just kind of go over some questions, help you guys out. Today I don't. Last week I did a case study, and I broke down a deal that we were doing. So if you remember last week live, that deal sold in like 72 hours. So it's pending for closing coming up soon, believe it or not. It was less than 30-day closing. Connecticut's in the building. Portland, Oregon. Paul Sullivan, what's up? Detroit. All right, so today is, he said, what you know about Clarksville? Now I buy some deals in Middle Tennessee area. So I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with Murfreesboro, Nashville, Tampa's in the house. Cool. So now that we know where most people are from, let's get right to it, man. Let's go into some questions today. Houston, Texas in the house. Remember, if you're on Facebook, make sure you click that StreamYard link up there so that I can see who it is that's question. I see somebody said, hello, Max, but I can't see who you are. What's up, Antoine? Somebody said, what's got HUDs? HUDs is what you use when you close a property. You know, anytime you buy real estate, you can wholesale real estate at the closing table. The attorney will, all the final numbers are put on a HUD. Should have a HUD challenge for all the gurus. Maybe. I'm down. EJ said we should have a HUD challenge. Crazy. How to comp properties with unpermitted structures. Rick, that's a good question. That usually happens a lot down in, I've seen a lot of that like in the Miami area where people will build stuff on a house. So what's thing is, so for example, if they added on a bedroom or a bathroom or something like that that's unpermitted, most of the times you have to get those removed. And it's not a legal 3-4 structure, whatever it's claiming to be. So you have to count, it's a negative thing. So you have to take away, because most of the time you are going to most of the time you're going to have to take those structures away. So when you're comping a property like that, you can't comp it the way it sits, and you actually got to take off some money for probably removing those or getting those things permitted. Somebody says, what auto dialer am I using? We use Call Tools. Call Tools is what we're using. It works well. We like it. Let's see. Somebody said got studs. What are you building? Yeah, we do some new builds. Yeah, calculating like 10 dumpsters to take it down. So yeah, there's a negative side to having unpermitted structures attached to a house. Somebody said, how do you lose the fear of cold calling and actually take action? That's a good question, Andy, because cold calling is a fear of most people. Most people have a fear of speaking in public. But listen, here's the real thing about it. It's just another person on the other side of the phone. And if you have a conversation with somebody, just like if you had somebody with conversation with somebody aligned at the grocery store, it's real easy. You need to not look at it in a way that is, because you're going to get a lot of no's. That's simple. A lot of people are going to say no, 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 but you're going to be able to get a yes. Every time I used to get a no, I would say, all right, maybe the next one's a yes, maybe the next one. And it just keeps going and going. So getting over the fear of cold calling is one, you just need to be confident about what you're speaking about and just have a conversation. I'd go back and watch some of my videos where I cold call live and I call somebody and you get to see it and you get to hear it. And then you start to realize how normal these conversations are. You're just asking somebody if they want to sell their house. And if they do, then you just get in a conversation. You start having a conversation with that person about their house, about their situation, what they're going on. And I like to ask questions that are not yes or no questions, open-ended questions, allow me to just allow them to ramble. So let's see here. We're looking for some questions. All right, there you go. Here's Jalen Johnson. How should we pick the right real estate attorney when wholesaling? So most of the time you can just ask, usually definitely in the Facebook group, there's 100,000+ people in that group and somebody in usually virtually every city. And if you ask who is somebody else is using and they know they've been using this person, if it's working well, you'll be able to find it. That's a real simple, easy, quick question answer. I know a lot of people say you should interview a lot of attorneys. Well, what you should do is find somebody who's actively doing a lot of deals and then ask them, hey, who are you? Who are you using for your closing? So that's if you're an attorney state. Obviously, if you're in a title state, a title company state, you want to be able to use a title company. So find out what title company or anything like that it is. All right. So how do you pay due diligence to out-of-state sellers? So typically what we're going to do is we're going to send a check in the mail. We're going to send a check in the mail using certified mail and just pay the extra $3 or $4, I think it is, to send certified mail. You're going to send it and you're going to get them to, once they cash it. But in our contract, it says that it has to be sent within 3 days of the execution of the contract. So just make sure that you send it within those three, whatever your contract says, and make sure you use the postal service where you can get like a verification of that it's been delivered. What's your favorite open-ended question to get buyers to say a price? To get a buyer to say a price. Typically, our buyers, we don't go back and forth with price. We get, we kind of just say, hey, listen, what's your highest and best on this? We got a lot of people interested in this. It's just best if you just put your highest and best offer up front and it goes for it. Now, if you're talking about sellers to get them a number, you can obviously go watch some of my videos, but I like to ask questions like, hey, what are houses going for in this neighborhood? Hey, what's the perfect scenario for you? Hey, do you have a number in mind? Those questions, as you start to build rapport and chip away, you'll get that answer from them in a manner that you just don't have to say, hey, what's your price? You can start chipping away, and I like to reverse engineer the repair costs and stuff with the seller. Once I really find out they're interested in selling and they're willing to start talking to me and open up, I start to try to get information from them by not asking them questions, simply, hey, what's your price? Now, sometimes what's your price is cool because you have that personality type of person, but most of the time you just need to ask the questions like, hey, what's it going to take for you to sell this property? What were you looking to get today? Ask it in several different ways. You're going to have to usually ask it several times as well, too. What are some softwares your transactions and dispositions are using to manage multiple closings? That's real good. So one thing that we did different this year is we got an attorney to be in house with us, and that's helped the flow of our closings. I think this week we had 3 closings. 2 have already happened. I believe 1 is happening tomorrow or Friday. I'm not sure. Next week we'll have 2 sales and I think 1 buy. I'm not 100% sure, but the attorney that you use needs to use good software. But what we created on our back end is we just simply created a custom Podio to handle the dispositions of properties. And inside of that Podio has just steps, and everything has to go through a checklist. And we still do carry physical folders of the file that get passed around the office from section to section. So as it goes through acquisitions, all the way through the disposition side of the attorney. Do you have a different approach when cold calling LLCs? So here's the thing. No, I don't. It's most of the time, most people, LLCs are just a company that is formed by a person or 2. It could be their rental property or something like that. But the conversation is still the same. If they say they're not interested in selling, you got a good opportunity to ask them, hey, are you interested in adding more properties to your portfolio? And that person that you're calling to buy their property can turn into a buyer for you. So always keep that open in mind. Yes, Call Tools does have a triple line and much more as well, too. Do you cold call the DNC? This is a risk versus reward thing. Typically, if you're a big company, no, we don't call the DNC list. It's just too risky for us sometimes. But if you're just one-on-one, that's just a decision that you're going to have to make on your own. And most of the time, it's not going to turn into something crazy. But that's kind of, like I said, it's a risk versus reward decision that you're going to have to make on your own. He says on PopStream, what is the best way to skip trace buyers with LLCs? So this is real easy, and I like for people to go into a problem solving mind anytime they have a general question about real estate at all. Typically, so for example, if I had no idea what was going on and said, hey, how do I find out who owns this LLC? You got to reverse engineer your own question and the problem that you're facing to kind of try to find out the solution yourself. Now, the reason why I say this is because this type of method of thinking can actually help you gather lists, help you solve problems much faster without having to go through the riffraff and stuff like that. So typically you're trying to find who owns LLCs. The first thing I'm going to ask myself if I have this question is, where are LLCs created? And LLCs are created in the Secretary of State. So Secretary of State is a website. Every state usually has a website, and those are the ones who manage and create and manage the corporations in their state, LLCs, partnerships, all that stuff. So what you need to be doing is saying, okay, I need to find out who owns an LLC. All right, like LLC. Then you're going to say, who creates LLCs? Okay, Secretary of State. And what you want to do is you want to go to the Secretary of State and see if you can explore records of existing LLCs. The answer is yes, they do have an existing record of all LLCs. So if you have the LLC's name, then you can search the LLC and look at all their documents that they have to annually file with the state, the Secretary of State. And that's going to usually have the person who's the member or manager of that actual LLC. And then once you have that person's name and usually an address on that form, which is all online, then you can skip trace the person. So that type of thinking gives you the opportunity to reverse engineer your question to get your own answer, because most of these things are easy. I seen a question just a few minutes ago about, are probates good leads? And if so, where do I find them? Well, the question is, okay, probates, where do I find them? Okay, well, where are probates created? Who handles probates in my city, my state? And then you say, well, it's a probate office. Well, I need to see if the probate office has records of current probates or past probates. So it's real simple. Like, hey, I want to find out how many houses are caught on fire in my area. Well, who puts out fires? The fire department. Do they have some type of record or blotter of fires that happened in the city or state or wherever the region that they're covering? That would be where I would start. So just having the reverse engineering mindset to think of that, that's what you want to do. Some people say, hey, what about where can I get a list of code violations? Well, who gives out the code violations? Usually the city ordinance department. So can I call or research online the city ordinance department to see if they have a list of who currently and actively has any code violations on their properties? More than likely, the answer is yes. So you just kind of got to do some reverse engineering in your mind when you ask the question and kind of get to the root. And just solving problems and using Google can get you a long way in this business. There's usually not a blanket answer across the entire United States. You just have to reverse engineer your mindset. Let's see. Kenneth Alford, what do I need an attorney for? Where do they come into play? So, Kenneth, that's a good question. So, what happens is some states, like North Carolina, is an attorney state. So the people who close real estate transactions in North Carolina are attorneys. Now, some other states are what they call title company states, and title companies are the ones who actually go out and who actually close real estate deals. So if you're an attorney state, the attorney is the one who's going to close the actual real estate transaction. That's who you're going to give your contract to. That's who the buyer's going to go to drop off their money. They're going to facilitate the entire closing process, research process on the property and closing process, and then make sure each party gets their money or property money and property that was promised them in the contract. If you're in a title state, then the title company is going to be responsible for those. Can a long purchase and sale agreement be too much for your seller? I mean, yeah, it could be, but that's really just kind of up to, it's kind of up to yourself. And I would get somebody to look over a contract that you're using. Again, I would also reach out to another wholesaler in your area who's doing a lot of deals and ask them, hey, what kind of contract do you use? So there's just again, you just got to use what's the norm. What are sellers used to using? And there's multiple contracts out there. I guarantee you, if you go on a Facebook group and see who's actively wholesaling in your city, I'm pretty sure they'll be willing to share some type of contract from them. Or if you're in a title state or you work with an attorney, they'll say, hey, what kind of contracts are people bringing you once you find a good title company that works with wholesalers, or once you actually find an attorney in your state, if you're an attorney state. Jordan Smith, want to get started in wholesaling, but Illinois recently passed a new act that requires real estate brokerage license. You need a real estate license. What can I do to still get started? One is simply go online, study for the real estate brokerage test, license test, and get your license and hang your license with a brokerage that understands that you're going to be wholesaling. Number two is you can partner with people that have their license, such as Rashana Scott is in Chicago. I'm not sure what part of Illinois you're in, but she's in Chicago and she can help you with your deals. But you really just gotta be resourceful, but don't be afraid to go out and get your license. It's really not that hard. Let's see here. Looking for questions. I can't, let me see it. Hey Max, talking about fire, is there any way a house that has been approved for demolition be saved, or can the decision be overridden by anyone? Thanks. That's going to go city to city again. And I know in our city, they have things that you need to go out and actually, um, there's correct. You got to correct the issues that are wrong with the house in order to save it. But typically, when a house is set up for demo, it's set up for demo, and there's just too much to do with it. I had success in using direct mail to purchase properties for my own portfolio, but I want to start reassigning. How do I get over the fear of the seller finding out I'm reassigning? You don't have to be in fear. I mean, this is just real estate. Nobody else that you bought properties for your own portfolio knew what you were doing for it as an exit strategy. You can just do kind of get. There is no fear. I'm just gonna tell you, get away from it. I'm in a market with low spreads. Do you think I should go virtual? You're probably in a market with low spreads just because you need to work on your front end negotiation and you need to find better buyers. That's real simple. I don't think it's a cop out that you need to leave and go somewhere else. Am I still using the same tools I used in my last real estate video in 2019? Yes, I am. Very consistent with what we do. Max, how do you stay motivated? This is actually a common question. So what I would do is if you don't like real estate, if you're not really into it, this is not going to be for you. This is a hustle. It's no 2 days are the same. It gets hard. But I stay motivated. Me personally, I'm just a motivated person. I like to work all the time. But you got to find out, and this is going to sound corny, but you need to find out why you're doing this. And if your why is bigger than your lack of motivation, then you need to find something that motivates you even more to strive for whatever your goals are. So you got to look into your inner self to see why you're actually doing what you're doing. And if you don't want to do it, then you probably need to do something else that you enjoy. What are the best leads you go after? The ones that you want to consistently go after. There's no best anything. There's no best type of lead source. There's no best this. There's no best any of that. It's whatever lead you're going to go after consistently, follow up with. Those are the ones that work best. They all work. They all work. How do you know if you're in the right market to wholesale? You are. I cold call daily, no traction. At times I question my market. At the same times I feel the need to give it some time. Any indicators to know you are in the right market? And I don't even need to know your market. I know people that wholesale in pretty much every state and city in America. Now, obviously, it's a little bit harder to wholesale in the Hamptons, but opportunities are there every now and then. But yeah, you can wholesale anywhere. Hey, Max, can I add you to my buyers list? Yeah, if you have deals in North Carolina, I'd be more than happy to take a look at them. You're going to send those to Francis at ventureatlas.com. Francis at ventureatlas.com. So what does James say? James said last week, you, Nazar, and Chris stated that being a boss was hard. Let's trade places so that you can remember how life used to be. I would trade places with all three of y'all in a heartbeat. I get that. And I'm not saying that the other side is hard, but there's a lot more responsibilities that come with, being a boss or owning a company and having employees. There's a lot to it. Um, you can't call in sick. You can't be unmotivated and not get out of the bed. You can't do something just because you don't want to do it. You start to become, you actually work for your employees versus them working for you. But it's hard work. And James, you can easily trade places. Well, I don't know about trade places, but you can easily join the club by just doing, finding something you're passionate about and becoming obsessed with it and becoming the best at it. So it's not like it's a magic button or anything, but you can get to the same position that Chris is in, Nasr's in, or myself, or anybody else you look up to. But it is hard. It's very hard to consistently uh, show up every single day. Just like you guys. It's just like you. It's hard, but you don't have those excuses. You can't use those excuses. But nobody's complaining. I think we all enjoy where we are, and that's why we wake up every day ready to move, move fast. How do you find out payoff amounts for a pre-foreclosure? The seller I'm dealing with is grantee doesn't have any account numbers or paperwork for foreclosure requested payoff amount. You're going to need to get that information. So whoever's loan the property is, you're going to need to get them to sign off on a piece of paper to get the attorney to look into it, or they're going to need to get you some payoff statements as well. So I seen a question about lockboxes. How do I explain the need of a lockbox to a seller for cash buyers and want to tour the property themselves? That's from a Facebook user. Listen, so typically what I do is set expectations. We were actually talking about this in our morning meeting, either Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. But you have to set the expectations with the seller. So typically when the seller and I agree on a price, we're signing the contract, I'm going to make it very clear to them, hey, look, hey, Tom, there's a few things that needs to happen. I'm going to need to put a lockbox on the property. And this is much easier when the property is vacant. Obviously, I'm not going to tell somebody to put a lockbox on a property they live in, because that is probably not good for their security. But what happens is that you need to set the expectations with the seller by saying, hey, I'm glad we can come to an agreement on a price. Here's a few things that need to happen. I'm going to need to put a lockbox on this property, and here's why. Before we close this property, I'm going to probably need to come inside 2, maybe 3 more times to see this. And here's the reason why. One, I want to get an exact list of things that need to be done to complete this house, and so that we can go out and order the materials so that the day we close this property, I will have the materials ready to go and my guys can start working. It's pretty simple. So I may have my contractor come here. I may have several contractors come here, but don't worry. I've been working with these guys for years, and you don't need to worry about anything. And I'll take full responsibility for anything that happens. It's usually pretty simple. While they have a succession of yeses, you need to add that in there so that they understand where you're going to go with that. Is wholesaling becoming saturated? It seems like one of the newest fad business models. What are your thoughts? No, it's not. I'm surprised every day. Probably in this month alone, I've probably paid out probably $50,000 to $60,000 in assignment fees to other wholesalers from deals that I bought from them in my local market. And I consider myself that we're doing pretty good in this market, but there's deals that are coming from that my team hasn't found, from cold calling, from texting, from SEO, from PPC, from mail, from all these different things we do. We haven't been able to get these deals that some people are getting. So I don't think it's oversaturated. You just have to not think like that. If you have that mindset, I mean, you got to think, is the trucking industry oversaturated? Is buying stocks oversaturated? Is selling things on Amazon oversaturated? Is eBay game saturated? Is becoming a lawyer saturated? It depends who you ask, but the answer could be yes for every one of those, or it can be absolutely not, depending on just the type of person that you need to you're speaking with. Davis Media is in the house. 207. I just seen a question up there about with COVID going on. With no probate, pre-foreclosures, tax liens due to COVID, what are you due for leads besides drive for dollars and bandit signs? I'm in New Jersey where everything was shut down. Raymond, that's a good question. That's a real good question. From my understanding is they're not acting on the so foreclosures are still being filed, but they're not being acted upon. Nothing is being moved to the right direction. Probates are still being filed. People are still passing away every single day. So they're still happening. So you need to find out where the records are, if they're being stored online. And if they are being stored online, then you can go out and actually find these records. They're out there. I believe that this period of COVID has given me and my team some type of slight advantage because that these foreclosures are being filed, but they're not being acted upon. And because they're not being acted upon, it gives us more time to contact the seller and start to work out a way that there's a win-win scenario for them and for us. So I think that you have to see the sunlight in every situation. And I believe that this COVID has allowed us to be able to have more time to speak to people who are in pre-foreclosure, more time to deal with landlords who are actually tired of not receiving rent. And it's just giving us more time to work with. And also see that when everything opens back up, it's not going to just happen all at once. So it's all about your mindset. Find the shining sunlight in any situation, any dark situation. Do you use hard money lenders or rehab lenders? Do you have only certain people you work with? Can I be added to your list for consideration? I'm a finance broker in North Carolina here. I've never used hard money to flip any deals. I've just been successful and blessed enough to be able to, wholesale my way to have enough cash to be able to take on as many deals as I can. But right now I haven't. I don't know anything about astro flipping, so I can't give you an opinion. Searching for questions. I don't know what a hub. I don't know what that is. Hub ZU. Not sure what that is. Let's go. Let's go to his name is Chess. I believe he wanted to ask a question and play devil advocate, I guess. Let's see here. I can't see it. Max, going to be a bit of a devil advocate for the moment and challenge. Are there challenge that they are finding wholesale deals or finding flips, which is easier? Let me reread that. Going to be, what's easier, finding flips or finding wholesale deals? No, it's the same thing. It's just the same. It's the same exact thing. Just where you start, where you get in at it. Yes, Kenneth, this is every week, Wednesday, typically 8 p.m. I post this on my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and here on YouTube as well too. Do you deal with any Atlanta properties? I don't. I kind of love North Carolina. I've been doing well here, so eventually we'll branch out and do other places. William Brown says, have you ever wholesaled a bank-owned property? I heard that banks don't deal much with wholesalers. So William, what they have in place is bank-owned properties can't be wholesaled essentially in the traditional terms, but there's ways around it. But typically, these are just not going to be something that you want to go after. The reason why I say that is bank-owned properties are blasted out to investors, brokers that deal with investors, and those things are already going to be there. So I don't think you're really going to get to beat those prices. Has it been done? Yes, it has been done. Would I make it a main source of what I go after? No, I wouldn't. I think you're kind of wasting some of your times. Who can I use to check my list for do not call? If you use REI Skip, it's going to tell you if they're on the do not call list. Yeah, it's gonna. There's a flag on it that there's a checkbox that says if it's on the do not call list. Max, when you locked your first deal down, did you mention you were wholesaling the house, or did you have an approach with purchasing with your own cash? Sheldon, that's a good question. I just told the person, hey, look, I'm interested in buying your house. I negotiated a price. We settled on a price. And you know, I just sold it. So I didn't really discuss with the seller what my exit strategy was with the property. Let's see. Chess has a follow-up question here. No, I beg to differ. It's a totally different process for finding properties. Real estate agents won't and don't bring you wholesale deals. Most of the time, they actually run from them. I guess I'm not sure the context of your question. I guess it must have misread that. So, what is the best way to cancel a contract you already have in open escrow? I think it's Jacob here. Jacob. Yeah. So if you have a property in escrow and you want to cancel it, hopefully you're within your due diligence period. That'd be great if you were. And then you're just going to write a letter to the seller saying that you're going to exercise your right to cancel the contract, and does that. Yeah. Max, does REI Rail offer text messaging? Yes, it does. REI Rail does offer text messaging. Glenn Unit says, how can I build a system for lead generation? I've done 8 deals in a year part-time. That's pretty good. Congratulations on your success. 28K in that time period, but very sporadic. Glenn, what I would focus on is what has been working for you. Where did you get these 8 deals? Is there any consistency or any patterns in where these deals came from? And if it is, then you're going to want to reverse engineer those deals and see if you can find bigger spreads, because it seems like spreads is one of your issues that you're having there. And, you can reverse engineer that and find it. So if you've had 3 deals out of your 8 that came from probate, then you probably want to research more on probate. If you have majority of your deals come from word of mouth, then you may want to focus on your network and, tell people more about what you're doing. A system for lead generation is just to be able to consistently do what you've been doing and be able to track how it works, track what's been working. And that's where your KPIs come in. But I mean, listen, for part-time, an extra $28,000, yeah, it's kind of small for 8 deals, but you've got the proof of concept down. At this point, you just need to reverse engineer what you're doing. Where do you place cash after the sale of a property? Back into my business for more marketing and keep this thing rolling. I'm just getting started as an investor. Do you recommend I get a mentor? Not yet. I think you should do yourself some due diligence and do as much research as you can as possible to get kind of the basics, the fundamentals, the idea of where you want to go. Real estate investing is just a wide term that a lot of people use. Now, there's different avenues of real estate investing. One that I particularly like to do and specialize is wholesaling. But do I do flips? Yes. Am I starting to do new builds? Yes. Do I have rentals? Yes. Do I do short term? I did for a while short-term Airbnb stuff. I don't have any right now, but yes. So there's different exit strategies in different places where you want to invest in. You need to find out, as a pilot, they say, what's your mission, right? So when you're picking out your plane as a pilot and you want to buy a plane or something like that, the first thing that the person helping you find your plane is going to say, hey, what's your mission? And the mission is, what do you plan to do with this plane? Do you just plan on hopping and going, things that you can drive in 3 hours, or 4 or 5 hours? You planning to go cross country? And the reason why they ask that is because there's so many different things you can do with that plane. And it's just so many different things you can do with real estate investing. So find out where you want to be at. And once you do that, find the fundamentals on that. And then if you have the money, go out and find you a mentor. But it's important. It's very important to anybody just getting in this business to understand that finding a mentor sounds like it could be easy, but is actually very hard. One, you don't want to get ripped off. You don't want to get somebody that's fake, because real estate is a hot topic right now and everybody's getting into it. There's people out there that are taking advantage of people that don't know where to go, just like yourself. So you really want to vet out who you're going to be spending your money and your time with when it comes to mentorship. I personally don't have a mentorship program. I don't have a coaching program. I just don't have the time to be able to put it into that. And I need to be able to set up the infrastructure and the systems so that people can receive exactly what they're paying for. So with that being said, is, go around and find people who have worked with the person that you're looking to work with. And when you do that, and see if it fits the person, and see if the person fits you, and make sure they're actually doing this business. There's a lot of people that don't do this business, but are teaching this business. So, ask for HUDs. They should be able to show you 2 or 3 properties every month that they're wholesaling, buying, flipping, depends whatever type of coach you're looking for, should be able to show you these things. There's a lot of money in teaching and not actually practicing, because there's a lot of novice people coming into this industry that don't know good from bad or right from wrong, or who's real or who's fake. So that's a long answer to your short question. Hope that's helped. Can I use your contracts in Florida? If so, let's do some future JV. I would reach out to what's his name? Sorry, William. I forget his name. You reach out to William Dennis. Sorry, in South Florida, and work with him. He's a good friend of mine. He can get you a contract that you can use, and you can JV. William Dennis with 1 N. So where is that 10 from? All right. So from B Smith, hey Max, I love bandit signs. Some of the investors in my area do not have the abundance mindset and keep removing my signs and putting theirs up where mines were. Do I reach out to them and have a convo? Or, why not? Why not reach out and have a conversation with them? But you also just need to keep putting. They're going to eventually get tired from going out there and trying to remove your signs. You just have to stay consistent. We know most people put out bandit signs for a week or 2 weeks, put out 10 here. I don't have a deal. Bandit signs suck. So yeah, just keep being consistent. What would you say to a seller that is asking to speak with my buyer because they feel my buyer's name should be on the purchase contract instead of my name, even though I explained to them what I am doing? William, you've explained too much. You need to negotiate the property at a price that you want to purchase. Your exit strategy, you have an option to wholesale it and just wholesale the property. Nobody goes to a car lot and buys a car and says, hey, I want to buy this car, and what I'm going to do with it when I leave here is I'm going to take it over to the car wash. Then I'm going to ride up and down the mountain, go mudding on Sunday. I'm going to do a burnout on Mondays. I'm going to ride with my friends to the beach on this day. They don't care. Give them the price that they're looking for. Do it exactly what you said you were going to do in the contract, and you'll be surprised how successful you'll be as a real estate investor. When you start explaining your exit strategy, I don't purchase a house from someone and say, hey, I'm going to move the kitchen over here. I'm going to add a bath over here. I'm going to change this one to the master bedroom because it needs to be on this side. They don't care. They're more interested in, hey, the money. So you need to work on your pitch a little bit better. Your in-person meeting a little bit better on the phone, however you're doing. So where's that 10 at? Terrence, I appreciate that. If you have a question, please put that in the question box for me, please. I'll get it answered for you. Can you please talk about having a CPA and the process when it comes to filing taxes for your business? Terrence, that's a good question. Here's what I would do. If you're looking for a CPA, you need a CPA that actually works with real estate investors. You're not going to go out and get your every regular day CPA. You need to get recommendations. You know, as you start to get into a field, there's people that that specialize in working with real estate investors. So what I mean by that, like if you were getting in the trucking business, you're probably going to want to work with an insurance company that specializes in trucking insurance. Same with when you're doing your taxes, you're going to want somebody who specializes in working with truckers and knows all the tax deductions and write-offs that you can have. Same thing in this business, Terrence. So what you're going to do is you're going to go out, you're going to find another successful investor. Hey, who do you use as a CPA? And they're going to point you in the right direction. That CPA is going to take a look at what you do, and they're going to try to set you up with the best of everything they have, because you can't get an everyday CPA because you're going to end up paying a lot more money in taxes. They just don't specialize in what we do. Not all CPAs, lawyers, accountants, bookkeepers are all created equally. So you need to go out and find the ones who are working with other successful investors. And that's just a quick question. And that's actually a good question to ask somebody who's successful. Hey, what CPA do you use? What bookkeeper do you use? Max, we have a lead in Illinois that has a lot of properties, but how do we in North Carolina structure those virtually? You need to be working with somebody. I don't know what part of Illinois. Look up a young lady named Rashana Scott, and she will help you out. But you need to get with people in that area. Yes, I do buy in Charlotte. Okay. Theo has a question. Does he have a question? Theo has a question. Does he have a question? Guys, scroll up to Theo. When you click on it, nothing shows up. Theo, I believe you have a question. Theo Thompson. Let's find his question. You guys don't have to give money for questions. I mean, I appreciate it, but I'm going to get to you as much as I can. Hey, Max, I set about 12K to the side for marketing. I'm now driving for dollars, but where do you say is the best to invest 12K into marketing? I have a video that talks about where to spend your money when it comes to marketing. You don't want to, if you had 12K, I would, here's what I would tell you to do. With that 12K, reach out to Chris Jefferson. I think his Instagram name is The Real Chris Jefferson. He talks about it a lot. He talks about how to go out and work with a $600 a month budget on how to get deals. And that's where you need to start with. But he's going to basically tell you what type of list you need to buy, how you need to be talking to people consistently. It will work. Trust me. There's so many methods out there, but I really like Chris's method on how to use your money wisely. And with $12,000 in the right method, you'll be able to get a deal, no problem. I don't have a contact in the Pittsburgh area. Unfortunately, I don't. Somebody says, were all your speakers at We Live legit? Yeah, they were handpicked. We Live 8, 19, 20. they were all handpicked by myself. I would pay attention to what they say. Do I advertise on the radio? If so, what do I say? I haven't advertised on the radio. I do know somebody in a smaller market who advertises on the radio, and he says it works pretty well, but he's pretty consistent. Hey Max, closing on my first deal on Friday. Thank you for the guidance. How do I know what percentage to take out for taxes? You want to set at least 30-40% to the side for taxes, but you also want to taxes. So you can make money. You're taxed on the money that is taxable, in the sense. If you have expenses, you can make $100,000 in your business and spend $101,000 in marketing and all that stuff, and you don't have really a tax liability, if that makes sense, because you didn't profit any money. There's expenses that come with the business. Where I see a lot of people, and this is different from a lot of people's strategy. I see a lot of people say, hey, I just take that money and I set it to aside an account. Well, you kind of strangle your business because you don't have money to go back and market. Now, I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying don't just set a chunk of money aside and always keep it there for taxes. And if you can, that's great. That's the best way to do it. But you need to be able to put money in marketing back into your business. What's your biggest lessons from starting new construction? Just a lot of the prep work, learning about the prep work, and how did I connect with just networking with people around, and then Vince connect us with people, and they like what we were doing. Charles Johnson, yo Max, let me hold $1 million. Absolutely. You let me hold 2, I'll give you back $1 million. Brandon Summerlin says, hey, Max, do you think it's more effective to bulk text than cold call or RVM? What if I told you we do all 3? We do them all. There's nothing more effective. I think I released a video on my YouTube, which was a segment from what I talked about at We Live 20, where we use our conveyor belt method of how we market to people. Because here's the question. If you ask yourself, do you listen to all your voicemails? If no, then RVMs would never work for you. Do you answer unknown phone numbers that call you? No, then cold calling wouldn't work for you as a seller. Do you read all your text messages? No, then texting won't work for you. So you have to use all types of marketing to find people. One is not just going to get it all. I said, Irene, hey Max, what do you do if a seller wants to consult with his real estate agent and wants to use their contract instead of mine? I don't. I said, hey, look, if your real estate agent wants to buy it, tell them to go ahead. But I'm buying it and we're going to use this contract here. And if you're not satisfied with this contract, then let's talk about what's in the contract. But your real estate attorney does not know real estate law. Is there a directory out there for trust? Is there a way to look up someone on trust information? Gary, that's a good question, because a lot of people are not sure what trusts are. So trusts are not recorded publicly, and that's the reason for trust. On trust, they're just not recorded publicly, and the reason is because the person wants to remain anonymous, and there's no recording of it, so there's no public information. You create a trust, you record the deed, and you put the trust away in your personal record file at your house or your attorney's or at a safe deposit box. So you never can get that. Thanks for all you do. My deal spread sucks. Any suggestions on getting bigger spreads. I struggle with making low offers. Also want their thoughts on creating it. Thoughts on creative a year. Where's that question at? Small print. Thoughts on creative a year in the game. I'm not sure what the second part of your question is. Aaron, so I know sometimes it's difficult to make low offers, but a lot of time you're leaving money on the table. And sometimes it really boils down to the rapport that you're going to be having with a rapport that you're building with the seller. And the reason why that's important, because you're going to get more information out the seller to be able to understand what they really want. Sometimes you may want to throw out an offer like 50, but the whole time in their mind, they were thinking 30. And if you offered me 50 on something that I wanted 34, of course, I'm going to take the 50. So you have to get comfortable making lowball offers. And what I like to do is give a range, right? Say, hey, look, I was thinking somewhere in the ballpark of like $30,000 to $45,000 is where I need to be at on this property. See how they react. Oh, 30 is way too low, but I can do 35. All right, let's do 35. So you just need to be able to ask these questions and don't be afraid to get turned away and say no. And that's going to help you get bigger spreads. And then sometimes the spreads on the other side is you need to find better buyers. Sometimes your buyers can take advantage of you, but you need to find better buyers that can help you go out there and acquire deals at the best and highest use of the property. And that's really what it boils down to. Not every property is for every buyer. So you need to find the ones that work for the people that it works for. All right. So as a trucker, I'm looking to take action on real estate investing. My goal is one deal a month. Is $10,000 contracts. Let me see. Is $10,000 contracts a month enough to reach my goal? I think you meant to say 1,000. Desmond, here's the thing. So your goal is to take action. It's good to have a plan and where you want to go. Phone calls? I don't want phone calls. Huh? Oh, 10,000 calls. Got it. So I was reading it wrong. My bad, guys. Is 10,000 calls a month enough to reach my goal? Absolutely. I think you can get where you want to get to. It's good that you want to do one deal a month. Once you figure out how to do that one deal, you're going to see how easy it is to do 2 and 3, and then 4. And it's just all about your process, man. It's all about your process so that you can keep it going. Yeah, I see the time, Matt. Don't do that. Hey, Max, I'm having a hard time assigning large land deals, 1.5 million plus. I have a few that need to move, but I don't know where to put them and get them gone. Any idea? So Jay, when you're in that price range with things, typically in land, those are just going to go to the big boy developers. Those are just hard to move. As you get into the higher and higher price stuff, your buyer pool starts to get lower and lower and lower. A $1.5 million land deal, especially in the East Coast, like the South, is a lot of money when it comes to development. And that's going to be the big boy developers. Pretty big developers. So you need to find somebody that is in development. If you're going to be playing in that field of large land deals, you need to find somebody that's in that development field. You need to be having conversations. You need to be cold calling the acquisition managers and the acquisition partners on those development deals and see who's buying what and who needs that much land. But you're playing in a very, very narrow field of buyers, very, very narrow. So I would reconsider your strategy on who you're going after for sure. All right, guys, we got about 1 minute left. So I'm going to take one last question here and we're going to get out of here. Obviously, you guys can join me here every single week. I'll do an hour with you guys. I'm like even all dried mouth talking to you guys, but 1 hour every Wednesday, I'll ask questions here and I'll try to break some of these questions down and re-put them up on Facebook and YouTube. And make sure that if you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe right now. It costs you nothing. All you do is hit that button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button so you know when I'm going live so you never miss a live. I want to use probate because everyone talks about it. No time for the courts because of work. Do you have another way to get the information? Depends where you are. I know in Atlanta and certain cities around, there's certain people that will provide you with probate records. I believe there was a company. If you Google search probate real estate records, there's typically companies that service certain parts of the area of the United States, and depending on where you are, you might find somebody who can sell you those leads for you. Yeah, so you need to be looking for somebody since you don't have the time to go. I would probably also search online to see if your county has them listed online. That could also be a thing where they have them listed online for you. So take your time and do some research online to see if they have it for you online in your area. And then you can also, see if there's a broker that can sell you these things for you. Not a real estate broker, but somebody who creates a list and sells them for you. There's companies out there for that. Exactly. So I hope that's helped, Sam. That's my time. I got to go. I appreciate you guys. I will see you next week, next Wednesday. And don't forget, I think we're doing triple threat wholesaling again. So myself, Nazir, and Chris will be back on next week live here for 1 hour, talking everything and real estate. So don't forget there, please hit the subscribe button. I want to see the count go up at least 50 more. I appreciate everybody. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.